Today, we're going to talk about something a lot of people live with but might not even have a name for. We're talking about the parentified child, that experience of basically growing up way too fast.
So let me ask you this. Think back to when you were a kid. Were you the one everyone else leaned on? The one who was always managing things, mediating fights, and just trying not to cause any trouble? If that's ringing a bell, then this explainer might just give you the words for an experience you've never quite been able to describe.
You know, there's actually a clinical term for this. It's called parentification. It's what happens when the roles get flipped and a child has to step up and carry these heavy adult burdens that they just aren't equipped to handle yet. And yeah, from the outside, it might look like you're just really mature, but what's really going on is a pretty complex adaptation to a childhood that wasn't always safe or easy.
And it is so important to understand this right from the start. If this sounds like you, the unique way you operate in the world isn't some kind of flaw. These traits were literally forged for survival, and they've shaped your brain in ways that, frankly, most people just will never understand.
So what does this adaptation actually look like in real life? Well, let's break down 5 pretty rare traits that tend to emerge from this kind of experience. And these aren't just little personality quirks, okay? They are sophisticated survival tools that you developed when you had to learn to play by a totally different set of rules.
All right, first up, we have a trait that you might recognize immediately.
The very first one is an accelerated mental maturity. And developmental psychology actually shows a really clear link here. When you take on big responsibilities early, it basically fast-tracks your cognitive skills.
Think about it. Because you were often left to solve these really complex adult problems all by yourself, your brain built this incredible capacity for logical thinking. This is also why you might find it so much easier to connect with people who are older than you. Your internal benchmark for what maturity is was set by dealing with serious stuff at a very young age.
And this accelerated maturity, it often leads right into our second trait.
Okay, this next one is a big one, being hyper-independent. We're talking about an extreme form of self-reliance that just becomes part of your DNA.
Does asking for help just feel weird, uncomfortable, maybe even like a sign of weakness? That's because when you learn as a kid that you can't really count on consistent support, your brain just stops expecting it. You figured out that being low maintenance was the safest way to be. So now you prefer to handle everything yourself, even when you don't have to anymore.
All right, number 3. And this one, well, this one can honestly look like a superpower from the outside. It's a fascinating idea called stress inoculation. It's this ability to stay remarkably calm right in the middle of total chaos.
So think about the contrast here. When a crisis hits, most people's reaction is panic, right? Or impulse. But your response is different. It's calm. It's logic. And it's not because you don't have emotions. It's because deep down, on a subconscious level, you feel like you have already survived worse. This lets you lead with logic, making you a natural leader when things go sideways.
And that incredible ability to stay calm under fire, it's really powered by our 4th trait.
And that is a state of permanent hyper-awareness. See, if your childhood environment was unpredictable, your brain had no choice but to become an expert at detecting threats.
This is why you can walk into a room and just instantly read the vibe. You pick up on the smallest shifts in someone's tone, tiny facial expressions, and hidden intentions that everybody else misses. You learn to trust your gut way more than people's words because you saw that actions told the real story.
And finally, let's get to number 5. This is the one that often feels like the downside of all the others.
Yeah, it's a deep struggle to simply relax, to just turn off and be in the moment.
And this quote right here, man, it gets to the heart of it. Research on early stress shows that the mind can stay on high alert even when everything is totally peaceful. Why? Because for a kid in that situation, a quiet moment was often just the calm before the storm. Your brain is biologically wired to be the protector, always scanning the horizon for the next thing to fix.
Okay, so we've gone through these 5 adaptations, and you might be sitting there thinking, are these things just scars from a difficult childhood? Well, the answer is a little more complex, and honestly, it's way more empowering than that. The whole point is how you decide to frame them.
This is where we get to do a reframe, because everything that was born out of struggle can now be seen as your greatest strengths. That hyper-independence you have, that's extreme self-reliance. Stress inoculation, that's what makes you a leader in chaos. And that hyper-awareness, it's a powerful, highly tuned intuition that others would kill for.
Look, these are not common traits. Not at all. They were developed under immense pressure, usually in silence, and they've given you a rare kind of power and resilience that you might not even fully recognize in yourself yet.
So in the end, this isn't about putting a label on yourself. It's about understanding yourself. Recognizing where these incredible traits came from, that's the first step toward using them not just to survive, but to build a life of real purpose and strength.